There are no universally correct ways of dealing with errors in the classroom. There are all sorts of techniques that teachers can use to make students aware of errors, to help them to self-correct, or even to give them a quick, snappy correction. How you apply those in your classroom is all down to your judgment as a teacher. There's no universally right way of doing it. You have to be sensitive to the needs of your learners. You have to understand what stage of learning they are at. You have to understand what kind of error it is that they've made, whether it's a developmental error or an error which they can self-correct. And as a result of all of that, which is quite a sophisticated set of criteria, you employ whatever technique or whatever way of correcting errors seems to fit the situation. And this would be a humanistic way of correcting errors as opposed to the sort of blanket solutions which some of the articles and books in the literature seem to offer.